Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Sabbath class, the 30th of April, 2022. We'll be dealing with Nehemiah chapters 1 and 2. We're doing a cross-reference with Daniel chapter 9. It's pertaining to Israel confessing of their sins and what happens after that when once they confess their sins. So I'm asking everybody to like and share and subscribe to Prophets of Awakening channel. Hit the notification button if you can. And for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. It's Old Testament only. We deal with the Tanakh, which is so-called Old Testament, and the so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah, which is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses on Mount Sinai by our Redeemer, Lord of Hope. Shalom and welcome everyone to Prophets of Awakening channel, and welcome to our Sabbath class. We're going to do our moment of silence and Sabbath prayer, a little songs, and then we'll do some current events and a little need to know information. We'll go to the class. So this moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance from the land of our oppressors, in which He scattered us among because of our sin and our disobedience. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongs unto Thee. Therefore we come before Thee at this hour, seeking Thy face and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before Thee as Thy servants Solomon, David, Samuel, and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before Thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad. For You possess the power to turn us, O Lord. For we desire to walk after Thee, O Lord, to keep Your commandments and Your testimony and Your statutes with all our heart and soul, to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by Your prophets. O Lord, allow Thy face to shine upon Thy people. Hear our plea, hear and do, O Lord. Hide not Thy face from us, for we need You so very much at this hour. Peace be unto You. Okay?
Yes, Lord. Hallelujah.
There's some. So with that being said, we're going to do, I'm going to read a song, and then we'll do some current events. So I'm going to read Psalms 37. Is that some? Okay. So,
Yes.
true state of the wicked. Psalm of David. Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass, and wither as the green herb. Trust in the Lord, do good, so shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and He shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Commit thy ways unto the Lord. Trust also in Him, and He shall bring it to pass. And He shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light, and thy judgment as the noonday. Rest in the Lord. Wait patiently for Him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way. Okay, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. Cease from anger. Forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil, for evildoers shall be cut off. But those that wait upon the Lord, they shall inherit the earth. For yet a little while, and the wicked shall not be. Yea, thou shalt diligently consider his place, and it shall not be. But the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. The wicked plotteth against the just, gnasheth upon him with his teeth. The Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. The wicked have drawn up the sword, and have bent their bow, to cast down the poor and needy, and to slay such as be of upright conversation. Their sword shall enter into their own heart, and their bows shall be broken. A little that a righteous man have is better than the riches of many wicked. For the arms of the wicked shall be broken, but the Lord upholdeth the righteous. The Lord knoweth the day of the upright, and their inheritance shall be forever. They shall not be ashamed in the evil time, and in the days of famine they shall be satisfied. But the wicked shall perish, and the enemies of the Lord shall be as the fat of lambs. They shall consume, and the smoke shall they consume away. The wicked borroweth, and payeth not again, but the righteous showeth mercy and giveth. For such as be blessed of him shall inherit the earth, and they that be cursed of him shall be cut off. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way. Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholdeth him with his hand. I have been young, and now I am old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. He is ever merciful, and lendeth, and his seed is blessed. Depart from evil, do good, and dwell forevermore. For the Lord loveth judgment, and forsaketh not his saints. They are preserved forever, but the seed of the wicked shall be cut off. The righteous shall inherit the land, dwell therein forever. The mouth of the righteous speaketh wisdom, and his tongue talketh of judgment. The law of his God is in his heart, none of his steps shall slide. The wicked watcheth the righteous, and seeketh to slay him. The Lord will not leave him in his hands, nor condemn him when he is judged. Wait on the Lord, keep his way. He shall exalt thee as to inherit the land. When the wicked are cut off, thou shalt see it. I have seen the wicked in great power and spreading himself like a green bay tree. Yet he passed away, and lo, he was not. Yea, I sought him, but he could not be found. Mark the perfect man, and behold the upright. For the end of that man is peace, but the transgressors shall be destroyed together. The end of the wicked shall be cut off, but the salvation of the righteous is of the Lord. He is their strength in a time of trouble, and the Lord shall help them and deliver them. He shall deliver them from the wicked and save them because they trust in him. Ain't that something? Psalms 37, the true state of the wicked.
Yes.
Okay. Any
Yes.
comments? Any comments? Okay, on that?
I just love verse 5. Commit thy way unto the Lord. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass.
Right. So
Yes. Yes.
you've been dealing with the Lord over 4 or 5 months. You know that. So it
Right.
says, I want to read this right here. It says, let me get it. Yeah, 37 says, mark the perfect man, right? And behold the upright, for the end of that man is peace, right? So he says, mark the perfect man. So let's go to Ezekiel 9, see what he's talking about. I'm in Ezekiel chapter 9. So Israel was sinning, and Most High had his 7 angels to go out and bring judgment, right? So I'm in chapter 9 of Ezekiel, starting at verse 1. He cried, this is the Lord of hosts, also in mine ear, with a loud voice, saying, cause them to have charge over the city to draw near, every man with his destroying weapon in his hand. For people that don't know, these angels, 7 angels, right, from the beginning. And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which lieth toward the north. And here we go. And every man a slaughter weapon in his hand. And one man among them was clothed with linen, with a writer's inkhorn in his hand, right, by his side. And they went in, and besides the brazen altar, right, and 3. And the glory of God of Israel was gone up from the cherubim, whereupon he was, to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man, see this? He called to the man clothed in linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. And the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the forehead of of the man that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that are done in the midst thereof. So what he doing is marking all the righteous men, all the ones that sigh and cry for the abominations. We got a problem with the sin. So they righteous. So they being marked. All right? Because the six but can't come behind him killing everything else. So 5 says, and to the others he said in mine hearing, go ye after him through the city, smite, let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly the old and the young, both maids and little children, and the man upon whom, and say not and say, but come not near any man who had a mark, and begin at the sanctuary, like Levites and all. Then they begin at the ancient men which were before the house. You get something?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So that's what he's talking about. Righteous man ain't got nothing to worry about. His righteousness and his steadfastness is marked. So he ain't got nothing to worry about. Okay. So with that being said, anybody got any current events? Okay. Got a few right here. Okay. Mm. Okay, this first article I got right here says that the West is prepared for Putin's next move as Ukraine wars enters a new phase. So somebody shouldn't be surprised by this. It said the war in Ukraine is widening, with Russia's advance stalled due to fierce local resistance and Western support. Analysts say both sides appear ready to dig in for a protracted conflict that is showing increasing signs of spilling beyond the battlefield. The warnings of nuclear confrontations to stoking energy crises and perhaps even eyeing up fresh territories to invade. Moscow has ramped up its threat this week, but so has the West. The United States and its allies are readying huge new shipments of heavy weapons and military equipment to help Ukraine troops on the ground while voicing more ambitious goals for the conflict. The Kremlin and the West appear to have embraced a broader clash over Ukraine, one that extends far beyond the grounds of the Donbass and could define Europe's landscape well into the future while increasingly resuming its Cold War past. Okay, let me read some more. U.S. officials say President Joe Biden's request to Congress to provide $33 billion to Ukraine, which includes $20 billion for military equipment and assistance, will allow Kiev and its allies to withstand much more of Russian aggression. The request followed remarks by Defense Secretary Lloyd J. Austin this week that initially caused some disquiet among European allies. Speaking to reporters after a visit to Kiev, Austin said U.S. wanted to see Russia weakened to the extent that this war right here, man, say weakened to the extent that it can't do the kinds of things that it has done in invading Ukraine. Is that something? So those acts of war to me. Anybody got any comments on that?
Wow, he's sitting on ready, I tell you, because
Yeah,
he
yeah.
said, it's gonna be a lightning fast response.
Right,
So
right. And you ain't got no
he's
choice.
already ready. Yes.
You ain't got no choice but to respond because you all up in somebody else's business. But war ain't got nothing to do with you. It ain't affecting America no kind of way. So why you getting all up in it? Okay. So we're gonna go to the next one. Okay. That's another article right here. It says everyone is starting to admit something frightening about Ukraine. Yeah, we're set up from the beginning. See, the war between Russia and Ukraine is swiftly evolved into a war between Russia and NATO. In one respect, this is good. It gives Ukraine a higher chance of repelling Moscow's invasion and even winning. In another respect, it is risky. The wider the war spreads, the more Russia seems to be losing, the more compelled Vladimir Putin may feel to lash out with extreme violence. Okay? This shift in the West's approach to the war was first signaled on Monday when Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin said the U.S. goals in the war were not only to protect Ukraine as a democratic sovereign country, but also to weaken Russia as a military power. This has been obvious for some time, but even some U.S. officials were surprised to hear Austin express the facts so explicitly. So we back at that, rewind that tape, right? Remember they did the same thing. They used the black man Colin Powell, right, to do their dirty work. Now they got this brother standing up here that them fighting words that he ain't got shit to do with. So it says, this has been obvious for some time, but even some U.S. officials were surprised to hear Austin express the facts so explicitly. Yeah, why you ain't getting a white man to do? So then, a few days later, Austin hosted a meeting of defense officials from 400 nations, as well as NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, that's a Edomite, at Ramstein Air Base, headquarters of NATO Air Command in Germany, to coordinate military assistance to Ukraine. The meeting prompted Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov to complain. NATO, in essence, is engaged in a war with Russia through a proxy and is arming that proxy. War means war. Come on now. Is that something? Like I said, if you're going to bed every night, you better be looking forward to waking up one time, one morning, and everything gonna be right.
Right. World War III done kicked off.
Break out, just like it did with the World Trade Center. Went to bed one night and woke up the next morning and New York was on smoking. Is that something? Okay, we'll get another one right here. This is okay.
This is your man, not your boy. Go Black to Africa. So I want to share this video that I videotaped when I was in Ghana.
Tie your shoes up.
And this was probably 4 or 5 years ago. And I want those out there to listen to a taste of Ghana's history that's been around for over 500 years. For those who doubt slavery existed, for those who does not understand of going back to reconnect from our ancestors who waited for the day for all of us to return from where they were taken. I say, learn and see what all is there to be. Take a listen to this.
Spit on it. Spit on it. Spit on it. Them jokers got the hell out of it, didn't they? Yeah. Them jokers.
That you all are warmly welcome to the land of the ancestors. Well, I am going to take you through the dungeons of Cape Coast Castle and see several other important parts. But then I want you to know that your questions are welcome. You can also contribute to exactly what we are doing here. And just in case there's something you don't really understand, please call my attention to it. That's what I'm here for. The name is Sebastian Kwame Natete, but you can call me Kwame. It's much simpler and easy. Where you are is called Cape Coast Castle, but I want you all to know that at that time, while when the Europeans were here, this place wasn't a castle, but rather a factory. Why was it a factory? Because it had lots of storage spaces, be it the dungeon or storage space for gold, ivory, spices, and several other places. But then, Africans that were even held in the dungeons were not seen as humans, but rather as goods, or let's say commodities, by the white folk. And they thought that Africans do not have a soul, and they are, that of Satan, so they are taking them from Africa to be saved in the Americas and in Europe. So looking at the whole thing, you realize that the Europeans earlier came to Africa not only to trade, but also to spread the gospel, converting people into becoming Christians, just to counteract the Arabs from spreading Islamic religion throughout the African continent, and also break the Arab gold monopoly. Taking them from Africa to be saved in the Americas and in Europe. So looking at the whole thing, you realize that the Europeans earlier came to Africa not only to trade, but also to spread the gospel, converting people into becoming Christians, just to counteract the Arabs from spreading Islamic religion throughout the African continent, and also break the Arab gold monopoly. But then there came a time they began the transatlantic slave trade, all in the name of labor in the Americas and in Europe. And so they started taking our ancestors from the motherland to the New World. And this actually went on for a period of about 400 years on the continent of Africa. But I want each and every one of us here to know for a fact that without the involvement of some Africans, this transatlantic slave trade wouldn't have lasted a period of about 400 years on the continent of Africa. Which means some Africans played a very important role in everything, and literally, we are going to say that there will be no smoke without fire. If you see a smoke somewhere, there's a fire underneath it somewhere. So, even though it's very sad to hear this, but some of our ancestors also played a major role in giving our brothers and sisters out to the Europeans for them to take them away. And whenever they brought people, European money had no value to any African around here. That is why they practiced the barter system of trade, exchange of materials. They received guns, gunpowder, whiskey, rum, teacups, ceramic plate, and lots of other European items. From these Europeans, they give them gold, ivory, spices, African men, women, and several other stuff. Then mathematically, we will state that each of these rooms held about 200. African men. But then there were buckets provided in the rooms. So if the men and women will want to defecate and everything, they will have to reach to that bucket and do it in it. But for 24 hours and 3 months of the stay in the dungeons, all the African men were in shackles and chains. If you are in shackles and chains, holes around here, which will be the only source of light and air, will have no nets covering it. So there were flies that always entered the dungeons. Diarrhea, dysentery, malaria fever, and several other diseases will be very much in abundance amidst people. You are going to make an effort moving from where you are to that bucket, but because of the shackles and chains on you, you'll be slowed down, the population will slow you down, you have diarrhea. Defecating yourself is very easy. That is why majority of the African men and women had to even stay where they are, defecate there, urinate there, and sleep there. And they will be fed twice a day. But you don't eat with the plate, you eat using your palm. And know that these hands will never be washed. Because their last bath was taken about 31 kilometers away from here at a place called Asimon Slave Market. You take your last bath from there, you walk from there to here. Even driving to that place takes about an hour. How much more walking? By the time you end up here, you are already filthy. And food they gave them was nothing to satisfy anybody, but to keep them going from time to time. Because of all these, you will sometimes find African men and women dead in the dungeons. They will never bury them. They just pick up the dead bodies, take them out of here, and drop them into the sea. But if I'm going to drop a dead body into the sea, I know very well that the next day the body will be lying on the shore. That is why they will rather tie the bodies up with cannonballs and drop it, so it sinks. And because it was so dark in the dungeons, whenever African men and women were taken out, they normally became partially blind. They couldn't see properly. But wonderful guess, once the trip was almost over, the Europeans decided to stop cleaning the dungeons of the castle. So African servants who were supposed to clean, whenever they moved the population in the dungeons out, they came here instead of cleaning, rather to cover everything up with sand. Know that what you are standing on is the original floor, made up of bent bricks and trenches. But then in the other rooms, everything you are going to walk on will not be the original floor. Because it's covered up with feces, urine, food particles, and so many things. There came a time they covered it up with sand. And whenever they brought African men and women back into the dungeons, everything was so high that you're going to walk on top of it, but it will be up to your ankle level. And that is what we have all over the place. It's solidly piled up on the floor. So hard that when you walk on it, it feels like you're walking on a normal floor, but it's not normal. That is what I call the DNA of the ancestors that stayed here. Well, wonderful people. The floors of the dungeons were built a bit higher than each other. So the first floor is higher than the second, and it continues in that order. There are trenches all over the place which moved liquid waste from each room. So looking at the whole thing, it means that every liquid waste from the first room enters the second, third, fourth, fifth before it enters the sea. How much more the waste from all the other rooms which will end up in the fifth room? The stench from it, the heat from it, and all of that. Because of all these things, people felt really sick. And as I said, people died. But then know that the mortality rate was so high because all these Africans that came here were very strong men and women. They survived this. And when they survived this, they ended up surviving the ships, ended up in the Americas and survived it. And today we are here. So this tells all of us here that we are from the strongest of the stock they took. That is why I will always say to brothers and sisters that come here that we are so strong that the sky is not even our limit, it's our starting point.
Okay, hear this song?
Yes, great information. He done a great job.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Looking for that brother when I get over there. Hear this song? Oh, yeah, gee. Hear that song?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we got a little need to know information right here. I'm going to play that, then we go into some Q&A and go into the class. Like I said, it's some need to know information.
Family, first I gotta say peace, love, blessings, and Israelite power to all the Israelite brothers and sisters, all my Israelite kings and queens out there. Israelite the so-called black, two continent slaves, Moorish Israelites that were banished out of Al-Andalus. Without y'all, when I tell y'all, I read some of y'all's comments, and it just motivates me, it encourages me, it just speaks that on-time word that just lets me and China D know that we are just doing the greatest work that will ever be in resurrecting the greatest family that has ever been, and reminding Zion that our Father has not forgot about his children. Yorubah and Ephraim of the tribe of Joseph. We could not do this without y'all. There has been so many lies told that our history has been whitewashed and tampered with. And books have been removed, and councils have met together, confederacies have been made to be able to eradicate the remembrance of Israel out of the earth. But the power of the true and the living power, even the Most High Yah, even with the dirt, even with the grime, even with us being at the bottom, even with our people suffering the way we have, our Father is able to resurrect, even as it were from ashes, the bones of a living nation, and restore us back to the covenant that he originally intended for his people. So y'all, I could not thank y'all enough. I ain't forgot about y'all. I ain't forgot about all those sojourners of Zion, all those Gentiles that are faithful and loving to the Most High Yah, that support his people, support this awakening, support this history coming out. Y'all, we could not do this without y'all as well. All of y'all that ain't lost in the, just roll the footage. All of those Gentiles not lost in the goon squad sauce madness.
Let's see what these Israelites talking about. Well, Israel done away with, whosoever will, let them come.
Hey, yo, y'all Israel now. Oh, y'all black folks, oh, y'all Jews. We was kings. Oh, y'all think y'all is Jews, now you Jewish.
And legalism, no doubt these Israelites trying to turn us back to the law of Moses. And neither Jew nor Greek, what are we now in? That don't matter. Just talking about whosoever will call upon the name of Christ will be saved. For God so loved the world. Well, JB, we ain't saying he didn't came. We just saying he was rainbow. He came for all colors. Don't nobody really know what he looked like.
They said, well, you can't walk through Army 28.
Even though it says we're going to go into a country as swift as the eagle flies.
Oh, no, you can't use that.
Even though it says we're going to have a yoke of iron around our neck, you can't use that. That's been fulfilled. Even though it says you're going to go into slavery again on slave cargo ships, oh, that's already been fulfilled. And I'm like, Negro. Oh, glory, honor, and dominion to the Most High. Y'all, we pump, y'all, we in this thing. So first, y'all already know what to do. Like this video up, comment, share, subscribe. What are you doing? What are you doing? Subscribe if you have not. Share this to as many people as you know. Y'all, this is going to be a good old-fashioned reaction video. Your boy ain't done one of these in a while against these urban apologists. Not just urban apologists, but really just modern Christendom as a whole. Y'all already know our stance. We come from a Judaic perspective. We come from an Israelite perspective. And it's hard, right? A lot of our people are waking up. We're having questions. We're like, wait a second. Christ historically was a Negro Judean, and he was trying to stand for his people during the Roman occupation, during the Caesarean dynasty, right? He was trying to liberate the people, establish the kingdom, be that Messiah that our people had already longed for. That the prophets, that the law, that the Torah already prophesied about the deliverer of Zion that would come regather Israel, not just Judah, not just those keeping Torah, but the diaspora of Yah's people. This was already prophesied, family, that the Messiah would come, regather the lost sheep, return them to autonomy in Israel, free them from all of their enemies so that they can keep their lifestyle and be a nation set above all nations. So, family, when we know this history, when we know that Yahushua came according to the flesh to fulfill prophecy, to regather Zion, to regather the elect, the scattered diaspora of Israelites, and establish that kingdom. When you know that a lot of things, a lot of your perspective on a lot of different doctrinal tenets comes into question. A lot of the stuff we've been taught, and that's the purpose of Zion Dynasty, family, to extract the truth from the lie. And it's hard, y'all, because there has been leaven mixed in with the integrity of Yah's word, and it took a Judeo-Greek Israelite culture and appropriated it under the Roman Catholic universal lens. Y'all have to know that history. If y'all don't take away anything else, we have to know that the Christian faith of today that we're dealing with is a tampered doctrine over thousands of years of construction. We're gonna revisit that. That the Christian doctrine and dogma is a well-engineered, well-oiled machine that countless bishops, leaders, even Hebrews, even Israelites that were teaming up under Constantine, under these councils, have constructed this thing. I'm telling y'all, it's a beast, literally. We've already talked about the history of Esau, how Esau would be the end of the world. The Edomite people would be the last ruling people before Yahushua returns, regathers Zion, and establishes his millennial reign, world without end, right? Where he rules through his people, where the nations are subjugated. But before that, Edom or Esau, this mysterious people that have hidden themselves, will be the last ruling people. We looked at the statue of Daniel, along with the 4 beasts that Daniel saw, and that this mapped out the gentilic reign, the reign of the Gentiles, starting with ancient Babylon, the Medes, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, and this new Roman Empire, this revived Renaissance Roman Empire, under that vision that Constantine saw of in this sign you will conquer, right? He saw this cross in the sky. He adopted the Christian faith, even though he was not a Christian himself. He adopted it merely politically to extend the Roman Empire, which was the antagonist of Israel. Y'all got to know this. How does the villain become the hero? The people that crucified countless religious or countless Israelite zealots, the Sakari, all the rebel rousers, the Essenes, the Romans persecuted and made sure that a black Messiah would not arise and jeopardize the reign of Rome under any treasonous activity. Y'all, how does that same villain that oppressed Zion, now they're the leader of religion? Y'all got to...
Okay, so any comments on that? You want to watch that? It's the Holy Trinity doctrine exposed. Okay, you got any comments on that?
No, he be going in and he be killing me with them effects he be doing with his videos. Yeah, but he's very informative. I like watching his channel.
Right. Shalom. Okay, yeah, I can use that. Linda L. Nina L. Okay. So yeah, when you look at that, I was telling you about how you notice when we start coming together, the more and more information start coming together, and you start knocking off the slowly getting rid of the Old Testament. I mean the New Testament. They bring somebody come on the scene I know propagating that New Testament again from another perspective. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Anyway, so
right. And I think you mentioned this the other night when we were on Clubhouse, that the more people that's being awakened to the truth, they come out with a different version. There's so many different versions of the Bible out there.
Right.
And
from the latest one is the worst one.
Right.
The latest one you get is the worst one, because all this, like the brother was just saying, is a beast that's been that they've been orchestrating way back 3,000 years ago. And that's the reason why it looked the way it looked today. It looks good and righteous and all that, but it started out in the mud. It's abominable. And they done cleaned it all up to the point where it's at now. And that's from steady revising it. People coming up with stuff, seeing that stuff was wrong in it, they come and make another version, clean that part up to the point where it's at today. That's why now, if you sitting there with a hallelujah scripture, that's the worst one it is, because it's been revived. Like you figured out that you can't say Lord, you can't remove Lord and put Elohim there, because Elohim means more than one. It's angels.
Right.
And so now they stuck something else in there. It's taking every time they make a new version, they're taking you further and further away from the truth. and trying to cover it over.
Right.
But even that played out.
So true. And one thing I was going to say, is that no matter what they do and how they try to throw us off, they can't stop what the Lord has planned.
Right.
He is still waking us up through brothers like you that are able to connect those dots for us.
Right. Exactly.
They got the books all twisted. They got most of, the information you're going to find in Jasher, Jubilees, Enoch, but they telling you don't read those books. Don't throw those away.
Exactly. The propaganda.
Right.
That's a old Greek trick from way back in the day. So yeah, they're gonna put all this bad information on a certain topic they don't want you to deal with, and then the average person, we're gonna, like I said, most of them is those educated folks that have been educated by them, go for it. Okay. With all due respect, why are you reading negative reports when you should be keeping the Sabbath day? Yeah, that's all. It's a negative report, but it's positive results because it's eye-opening information that need to be delivered. So yeah, that's how that works. So anyway, with that being said, I want to go to try to shine light on some few things before I go into this Q&A. Anybody got anything on Q&A? Okay, here we go. So what I got a oversized nail to put in the coffin to kill the New Testament. Now, so I'm working on now. So I'm just giving you a little bits and pieces of it to prep everybody for it. I got a series of a couple of videos I need to do. It's going to be more than one and it's tied to what I was talking about Alexander the Great, the Greek Empire, and all they done to the Tanakh, and how it went about, and how the New Testament came into power. I'm gonna make all that plain. But right now, I'm just show you this right here. It's let me go right here. Let's do this. So you see here behind me, right? They go this Antioch Epiphanes right here behind me. See it right here. This Antioch Epiphanes right here. So this the guy, the Antichrist. He already came, and he came in the third beast. I'm gonna read that in a minute. And then over here, we see, I'm showing you all this for a reason. It tells you he had 4 horns. These when Alexander died, this is the third beast. This is the goat. Right here, the ram that came and ran into the goat, the he-goat that ran into the ram and killed and destroyed the ram. And then Alexander died. And then these the 4 kingdoms, right? And so this is Seleucid kingdom. This is one of Alexander's generals, one of the kingdoms that was divided. But out of this kingdom right here came Antiochus. See that? That's Antiochus. It's him over here. So I'm gonna play a little. I want to play a little video in breaking down that Seleucid Empire, and then we'll go into some more stuff. Okay, so with that being said, let me get this. Okay. Okay. Let me get it. Give me a minute. Okay, Proverbs 10:28. The righteous look forward to joy, but the expected surely wrong ones perish. Okay. Here we go.
For more than 2 centuries, the Persian Empire was the most powerful military and political entity on earth. Alexander of Macedon conquered this massive empire in a few years, with a relatively small army. This event shook the ancient world. Alexander is most commonly known as Alexander the Great for this great accomplishment. However, he did not enjoy it for a great deal of time. Upon returning to Babylon and relaxing for about 5 minutes, he got sick and died in 323 BC. His top generals, officials, and relatives, all former friends, allies, and battle brothers, turned on each other. The chaotic struggle for the unbelievable amount of wealth and power obtained by the Macedonians unleashed decades of war between the successors of Alexander, known as the Wars of the Diadochi. Of Alexander's many illustrious generals, officers, and retainers who fought to control his empire, Seleucus was an unlikely prospect to emerge victorious from the fray. During the conquests of Alexander, Seleucus had worked his way up the ranks from a minor officer to an elite infantry unit commander. He had no territory and a little over 2,000 men personally loyal to himself, which was relatively insignificant compared to an empire populated by millions, where hundreds of thousands were being marshaled throughout by the top contenders to succeed Alexander. So Seleucus, a beefy hulk of a man who played up the association between himself and a bull, was compelled to play a supporting role for quite some time. War was initially instigated when the corpse of Alexander was stolen en route for burial in Macedon by Ptolemy, Alexander's general, who had been appointed governor of Egypt. Seleucus and his men first backed Perdiccas, who was initially the most powerful. However, after leading a poorly planned invasion of Egypt, Perdiccas was assassinated by his own men. Seleucus was likely involved. In the Second War of the Diadochi, which soon followed after peace interrupted for a short time, Seleucus backed his old friend Antigonus the One-Eyed, who replaced Perdiccas as a leading power. Antigonus appointed Seleucus satrap of Babylon. There, Seleucus ingratiated himself with the local population, with whom he was quite popular. He generously funded temples and local institutions. Additionally, a year before Alexander's death, around 100 of his top officers were compelled to marry Persian wives.
So check this out right here. This another eye-opening understanding of what that happened that people don't understand. So they dealing with the Persian Empire, right? So look what they did.
In an effort to amalgamate Persian and Greek culture, power, and people. Alexander's vision was abandoned not long after his corpse was cold. Seleucus was the only top officer of note who remained married to his Persian bride, while the rest discarded theirs.
So let's look at this in the scriptures right quick. You know, I know nobody didn't register when they read it. I know that. So I'm in Daniel right quick. And it says that in chapter 8, and it says chapter 8, starting at verse 20. This Gabriel came to Daniel to give him understanding of the ram and the he-goat. It says, and while I was speaking and praying and confessing my sins and the sins of my people Israel, and presenting my supplication before the Lord God for the holy mountain of my people, yea, while I was speaking, no, this ain't it. Okay, that's 9. Yeah, here you go, 18. 8 and 18 says, now as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me, set me upright, and he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of indignation. For at the time appointed the end shall be, the end of Israel as a nation. The ram which thou sawest having 2 horns are the kings of the Medes and Persians. The rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king, that's Alexander. 22. Now that being broken, we just saw that Alexander died, whereas 4 stood up for it, but the kingdom shall stand out of the nation, but not in his power. So they abandoned Alexander's power. He just told you that Alexander had a plan that he was following. Once Alexander died, these 4 generals married Persian women, and they went to another route. That's what it's telling you right there. Not by his power. But now that being broken, where 4 stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power, not in Alexander's power. They abandoned Alexander's plan. Okay.
Some have said this was out of love, but it may also have been a calculated strategic decision. Having the knowledge and credibility of a native noble family on one side was a valuable asset, which was overlooked by Seleucus's peers and superiors. He even later claimed that his wife was
So check this out.
Was the daughter of Darius, the last Persian Shah, which made their son the legitimate heir.
So he wanted to make his son a legitimate heir, right? So, and he dealing with the Persian, the Medes and Persians, they just conquered them. He wanted them people to submit to him, but through trickery. So he claimed that the wife he had was Darius' wife. So now the boy he had, Antiochus, Antiochus Epiphanes come from that lineage. Antiochus is out of Darius' lineage. He's saying that. So go to the New Testament. We had a race of people, and all of a sudden now we got a God that came from David. He ain't come from David, but they didn't word it and wrote it down and it tricked it, propaganda and hookwinked it and make you think he came from David. This ain't nothing new. It's an old trick, ancient trick. So keep going.
And rightful ruler of the Persian Empire. Because of Seleucus's growing popularity, Antigonus likely viewed him as a potential rival. After Antigonus executed a mutual friend who was accused of plotting a rebellion, Seleucus feared Antigonus was planning to execute him next, so he fled to Egypt. There, Ptolemy provided him protection and later an army. Seleucus used the army to conquer Babylon, while Ptolemy and Antigonus were sparring in the Levant. In Babylonia, Seleucus finally established independent rule in 312 BC. That lasted for about a year. While Seleucus was expanding his territory in the east, many of the local Iranians switched sides and rallied to his cause. Meanwhile, he lost Babylon, and the city was sacked. Following a 2-year war with Antigonus, Seleucus retook Babylon and then made peace. After Alexander's death, his brother and son inherited his titles, Lord of Asia, Shah of Persia, along with many other regal titles. But in reality, those with armies at their command wielded true authority and controlled the empire's finances. Both Alexander's brother and young son were murdered. After all of Alexander's potential heirs had been hunted down and killed, his generals officially proclaimed themselves kings, which they already kind of were. Seleucus did so in 305 BC. Seleucus's authority was firmly established over the eastern provinces during a 4-year period, transforming his territory into a proper empire. This brought the
Okay, so let me here refresh you right quick. Keep you lined up. It says so we're dealing with this right here. We go to four generals right here that took over the Greek kingdom. And this what we're dealing with is Seleucus that we just dealing with. But out of him came Antiochus. Right here. Make sure you keep lined out. Okay?
Seleucids into contact with another rapidly expanding empire, the Mauryan Empire of Chandragupta. Not much is known about the ensuing war between these two empires, other than that the Macedonians were expelled from the Indian subcontinent. A peace treaty was then successfully negotiated, which recognized Mauryan territorial gains, and an alliance formed, sealed with a diplomatic marriage between Seleucus's daughter and the Indian emperor. In exchange, Chandragupta gave Seleucus a formidable force of 500 trained war elephants. 2 years later, these elephants were used to great effect to decisively defeat Antigonus at the Battle of Ipsus, where Old One-Eye lost his life. After the battle, the Seleucid Empire enjoyed more than a decade of relative peace, during which time Seleucus and his real passion, city building. His greatest project had already begun a few years before, Seleucia, a brand new capital city. It was built near Babylon, and no expense was spared trying to outshine the grand old city. Seleucia's population did not grow fast enough to fill the massive metropolis being built. So much of Babylon's population was relocated to the nearby city to realize Seleucus's vision of a grand metropolitan capital city bearing his name. In addition to this, dozens of cities were built in which Greek immigrants were encouraged to settle in. Many of these cities, Seleucus named after himself, his father, or his wife who passed away. After Ipsus, Seleucus made an alliance with Demetrius, the son of Antigonus the One-Eyed. To seal the alliance, he married Demetrius's daughter, who was 40 years younger than him. While Demetrius was establishing himself as king in Macedon, one of history's more weird events took place. Seleucus's son Antiochus fell madly in love with his stepmom, to an unhealthy level. His father felt sorry for the young lad, and worried that he might die of sadness, so he let him marry his stepmom, who the old king had just had a child with. This was scandalous, even by the standards of the time. However, this may have all been part of a plan to insult Demetrius, who Seleucus hated. After ditching the daughter, the two kings promptly went to war. Demetrius was militarily successful in the beginning, but his unpaid soldiers became disgruntled. As soon as they saw Seleucus, who had gained a reputation for being wealthy and generous with his soldiers, Demetrius's army immediately surrendered before the battle. Demetrius was captured and later died in captivity. In 282 BC, the pharaoh Ptolemy died in Egypt, leaving Seleucus and Lysimachus as the last two surviving successors of Alexander. So naturally, they went to war with each other for one last old man fight. Seleucus won, and Lysimachus died in battle. With little to no resistance standing in his way, Seleucus traveled towards Macedon and planned to live out his final days in his homeland, which he had not seen for over half a century. Then he was assassinated by a son of Ptolemy who he had given refuge. The death of Seleucus marked the end of the wars of the Diadochi. He had been the last contemporary of Alexander to be left standing with the largest piece of his empire. His son Antiochus reigned for 2 decades, which was arguably the most peaceful and prosperous period in the empire's history, as large-scale commerce flowed between the Mauryan Empire in India and the Seleucid Empire. Early in Antiochus's reign, a major Gallic invasion into Asia Minor was crushed, in large part thanks to his Indian elephants, which the Gauls had never seen before. For this victory, he was given the title Savior. His reign also saw the first of many largely inconclusive wars fought against the Ptolemies of Egypt. His son, Antiochus II, also waged war against the Ptolemies. While he was distracted there, the eastern half of the empire, which cared little for these wars, broke off, with their governors solidifying their independence by the end of his reign. Seleucus II followed with a long series of disasters. He was competent, determined, and very unlucky. From the onset of his reign, he faced numerous rebellions, invasions, and civil wars. 2 of his brothers attempted to become independent rulers, with some success before they were killed. After many years of war, he was able to hold the empire together in the west, while launching failed campaigns in the east. He also built a large fleet that sank. Then, unexpectedly, he fell off a horse and died. His son, Seleucus III, was even more unfortunate, and was assassinated before he really got to do anything. The empire in turmoil then passed to another son, Antiochus III, who waged successful campaigns in every direction, and for a short time, he made the Seleucid Empire great again. Near the end of his reign, the Roman Republic decisively defeated Antiochus the Great in the west. Fun fact, Hannibal Barca, famous for nearly defeating Rome during the Punic Wars, was one of Antiochus the Great's military advisors and generals during his failed war with Rome. Like the Carthaginians, they were forced to pay massive war reparations, 450 tons of silver in their case. The eastern provinces took the opportunity to break off. Antiochus moved to retake the eastern territory and was slain during a minor raid on a temple. He died without fully repaying the war reparations to Rome. This compelled his successors to raise taxes throughout the empire and confiscate temple treasuries, including the Hebrew temple in Jerusalem. Relations with Judea deteriorated during the reign of Antiochus IV. The long-held Seleucid policy of respecting local culture and institutions was reversed, making the worship of Greek gods mandatory. This triggered the Maccabean Revolt. Leading up to this, Antiochus launched the first successful Seleucid invasion of Egypt. There he placed a puppet on the throne, Then the Romans told him to leave Egypt alone, so he did. In the east, the semi-nomadic Parthians began annexing the Iranian plateau, which caused the Seleucid army to split, with some trying to quash the rebellion in Judea, while the rest attempted to stop the Parthians. Both failed. The Seleucids suffered heavy losses against the Maccabees, who waged a hit-and-run guerrilla war against them. After retaking Jerusalem, the temple was reconsecrated, which the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah celebrates. A few years after the death of Antiochus IV, the Maccabees negotiated peace on very favorable terms, where they became a sovereign vassal state. This later evolved into the Hasmonean kingdom of Judah, which had further conflict with the Seleucids. The Seleucid Empire attempted to concentrate all of their resources on stopping the Parthian threat, which failed. Urban unrest in the cities, rebellion by governors, civil war, and palace intrigue all handicapped their response. In 141 BC, the Parthians captured Seleucia. In the later decades of the 2nd century BC, the Seleucid Empire shrank into a small bickering shadow of its former self, which was under heavy Roman influence. In 83 BC, internal strife was so bad that one faction offered the Seleucid crown to Tigranes of Armenia, who was seen as strong and competent. Tigranes easily conquered them, effectively ending the empire. 14 years later, Tigranes was defeated by the Romans and made a vassal. The reanimated corpse of the Seleucid kingdom was revived, so they decided to have one last civil war. Then the Romans came in and put an end to all the silliness and annexed the territory. This has been Epimetheus. Thank you so much for watching.
Okay, so that was the history of the Seleucid Empire. I just wanted you to get a gist of that. And so I'm gonna read this right here, and then we'll go into in comments, and then I'm gonna go into Nehemiah. So I'm in Daniel again, and it says, Daniel chapter 8 says that this Antiochus the fourth says 20 verse 23, 8 and 23 of Daniel. And in the latter times of their kingdom, Greek kingdom, when the transgressors are come to a full, the king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. That was just laid out. And then 24, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. He shall destroy wonderfully. He shall prosper, practice, shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. So he destroyed the Israelites. Then 25, and through his policies also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace he shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. And all that's in First Maccabees. So if you want to, go into that, you can go to the Prophets of Awakening to our videos. One in particular is Israel was not destroyed in 70 AD. You want to check that out. But I was just showing you that, the back history on that. A lot of people don't understand. They read the scriptures, but they don't go to the history side of it to rightly divide it, to get it, get a better understanding of it. So, okay, let me get this right here. It says, I don't believe in the New Testament or JC. I read several versions, including KJV. I study, and most all ask the Most High to give me wisdom, insight, and foresight. Well, you just hit the jackpot. The Most High brought you over here to Prophets of Awakening. Okay. Yeah. So, with that being said, anybody got any comments or questions on something what I just presented? Did you get anything out of it?
Every time you discuss that about Antiochus, I connect dots better. When you first started discussing that, when I first heard you discuss that, I was really lost, not understanding, the third beast and all of that. I just was not getting it at all. But the more you discuss it, the more it really helps me. I don't know about others.
Right. That's the purpose of it. I'm giving bits and pieces of it, and then connecting the dot, because it's not. My learning a long time ago is not you not doing the increase. It's the most high and Lord of hosts. They're the ones giving the increase. You just, the roll, the prophet, everybody got a roll. Most high prophets got a roll. Each one of the tribes, the Levites got a roll. The Most High got a roll. Everybody got a roll. And so increase ain't nothing you doing to get the increase. Most High, that's his heaven. Is the one get the increase. So I'm just laying it out because, like I said, this where we've been hoodwinked there because of we don't know these type of things.
Oh yeah.
We came up in the church and just taking for what the pastor said, and the pastor was talking about him in seminary. He don't know what he's talking about. So I'm breaking this down. So bit by bit, you let this ferment, and then it's gonna come up again. You're gonna get strengthened more and more the more it get compensated. And so I'm doing this right here because I'm getting ready to do the series. Well, you can't say you don't know nothing about it because I done gave you bits and pieces in the process. So that's how that works. So anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go into Nehemiah. I'm reading chapters 1 and 2, and then I'm gonna break it down, kind of cross-referencing it to Daniel chapter 9. And the reason being is that we in the same position, we in the same predicament right now. We over here because of our sins, our forefathers, and our sin. So it says in chapter 1 of Nehemiah, verse 1, the words of Nehemiah, son of Hilkiah, it came to pass in the month of Chesan, in the 20th year, as I was in Sushan, the palace, that Hannah, one of my brethren, came, he and certain men of Judah, and I asked them concerning the Jews that had escaped, which were left of the captivity, and concerning Jerusalem. And they said unto me, the remnant that are left of the captivity there in the province are in great affliction and reproach. And the wall of Jerusalem also is broken down, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. So we know that Nebuchadnezzar, Chaldeans, done all that, and brought a group of Israelites to Babylon. That's where Nehemiah is. Verse 4 says, and it came to pass when I heard these words. So that was a bad report he got from 2-3 men that came from Jerusalem. And he asked him what was going on. He told him he got a bad report. So immediately in verse 4 it says, it came to pass when I heard these words that I sat down and wept and mourned certain days and fasted and prayed because of the God of heaven. And I said, I beseech thee, O Lord, God of heaven, the great and terrible God, that keepeth covenant and mercy for them that loveth him and observe his commandments. So let's look at that right quick, because this is another problem right here, people fumbling with. So he says, verse 4, came to pass when I heard these words that I sat down and wept, and I mourned certain days. I fasted and I prayed before the God of heaven, right? And so 5, and I said, I beseech thee, O Lord God of heaven, the great and terrible God. So who he talking to? Well, let's go see who he talking to. Because this is what a drama coming in at. This is what the New Testament did to us as a people. So I'm in Judges. And I'm gonna beat these judges all the way in the ground. Judges chapter 2. Judges chapter 2, verse 1. And the angel of the Lord, see that? The angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Beckham and said, I made you to go up out of Egypt. I have brought you into the land which I swore unto your fathers, and I said, the angel said, I will never break my covenant with you. See that? So it's the angel over the covenant, right? So now we know it's an angel over the covenant. What angel over the covenant? So 2, and ye shall make no league with the inhabitants of the land. Ye shall throw down their altars, but ye have not obeyed my voice. Why have you done this? So the angel telling them, I'm over the covenant, and I'm the one talking to you. It's my voice that you obeying. Not Yahweh, not the Most High. So why is he saying that? Okay, we in Exodus 23. Exodus 23. Okay. Let me get it. Okay. Exodus 23. Okay. Exodus 23 says they on Mount Sinai and the Most High. With people, they fumbling with this. So chapter 23, they on Mount Sinai. Moses went up to talk to the Most High. We get to verse 20. The Most High tell Moses, behold, I send an angel before thee. Keep thee in the way. Bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him. Obey his voice. So he's saying this in Judges chapter 2 because the Most High gave him authority. He didn't inherit Israel. He inherited Israel from Most High. He put this angel over Israel. And he told him right here in verse 23 and 20, behold, I send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, obey his voice, provoke him not, for he will not pardon their transgressions, for my name is in him. So this angel over transaction, this angel over sin, right? This angel over the covenant. Israel, all Israelites got to obey his voice. It ain't Yahweh. Yahweh up in the heavens. This angel is over Israel, right? Okay. So now let's go to Daniel back quick, and then I'm gonna come back to Nehemiah. I'm in Daniel. So I'm in Daniel chapter 10. We're gonna see what it is. Chapter 10, and Gabriel came to Daniel in chapter 10. Daniel had a vision. So we in verse 19. Verse 18. Then there came again and touched me one like the appearance of a man. We know these angels look like men. Yahweh shaped like a man. Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 27, 28. 26, 27, 28. Yahweh shaped like a man. Right? 18. There came again and touched me one like the appearance of a man and strengthened me. This Gabriel. And said, O man greatly beloved, fear not. Peace be unto thee. Be strong, yea, be strong. And when he had spoken unto me, I was strengthened and said, let my Lord speak, for thou hast strengthened me. Then said he, Gabriel, know thou wherefore I come unto thee, and now I will return to fight with the prince of Persia. And this is another angel, fallen angel, fight with the prince of Persia. And when I have gone forth, lo, the prince of Greece, this is another fallen angel. Notice they over nations, just like there's an angel over the nation of Israel, there's an angel over these other nations. So he says, and when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Persia shall come. So here go the answer, who this is that's over Israel, this angel. But Gabriel's talking, but I will show thee that which is noted in the scriptures of truth, that's in heaven. They looking at it. That's how they're able to prophesy. There is none that holdeth with me in these things, but Michael, your prince. This the angel right here over Israel. I ain't write it. He says, Michael, your prince. Daniel is a Israelite. So Gabriel told him, I'm an angel, but I ain't over you. Michael is over you. With the sword. So you say, what are you talking about? David got a sword. And he tells you that David is a man of war. He got a heart like the God that's over Israel. Well, Michael got a sword. David got a sword. Michael got a sword. Okay, so with all this information, let's go back to the prayer. Nehemiah said in verse 4, after these Israelites gave him a bad report on Israel, right? And the 4 says, and it came to pass when I heard these words that I sat down and wept, mourned certain days, fasted and prayed before the God of heaven. We know who the God of heaven is now, right? And I said, I beseech thee, O Lord God of heaven, the great and terrible God, that keepeth covenant. We just saw who over the covenant. And mercy for them that love him and observe his commandments. Let let thine ears now be attentive and thine eyes open, that thou mayest hear the prayer of thy servant, which I pray before thee now, day and night. For the children of Israel, thy servants, confess the sin. See that? We just saw precept upon precept, he over the sin. The Most High told Moses, this angel over sin. He ain't gonna pardon your transgressions. It ain't Yahweh that pardon the transgression. This angel got full slate over Israel. He inherited Israel. So he says, confess the sins of the children of Israel, which we have sinned against thee. But I and my father's house have sinned. We have dealt corruptly against thee, and have not kept thy commandments, nor statutes, nor the judgments which thou commanded thy servant Moses. See that? Take us right back to Exodus 23, 20. Moses, remember, I beseech thee, the words that you commanded thy servant Moses, saying, if you transgress, I will scatter you abroad among the nations. But if you return unto me and keep my commandments and do them, though we were of you cast out unto the uttermost parts of the heaven, yet will I gather them from thence, and I will bring them into the place which I have chosen to set my name there. See that? My name. We just read that he said, beware his angel, obey his voice, he over transgressions, and my name is in him. Right? So he says right here, I have chosen to set my name there. Now, therefore, these are thy servants and thy people, whom thou hast redeemed by thy great power and by thy strong hand. O Lord, I beseech thee, let now thine ear be attentive to the prayers of thy servant and to the prayers of thy servants who desire to fear thy name and prosper. See that? So he told them, Yahweh told Moses, this angel over you, my name is in him. That in itself put fear in the Israelites of the name, right? So he says, O Lord, I beseech thee, let now thine ear be attentive to thy prayer of thy servant and to the prayer of thy servant who desire to fear thy name and to prosper and pray. I pray thee, thy servant this day, and grant him mercy in the sight of this man, for I was the king's cupbearer, right? So we're going to keep on going. So he just prayed the prayer, not Yahweh. When Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego was in the fiery furnace, Yahweh didn't show up in the fiery furnace. The God over Israel showed up in the fiery furnace, right? So he just prayed to the same God right here, right? In verse 11. O Lord, I beseech thee, let now thine ear be attentive to thy prayer of thy servant and to the prayer of thy servants who desire to fear thy name. Now all of them don't fear his name, especially now today, and prosper. I pray thee, thy servant this day, and grant him mercy in the sight of this man. So he's talking about the king. He said, grant Nehemiah favoritism in the sight of the king. I was king's cupbearer. Now we're going to pick it up, verse 2. And it came to pass in the month of Nisan, in the 20th year of Ahaz, king, he just prayed about this man right here, that wine was brought before him, he the cupbearer. And I took up the wine and gave it unto the king. Now I had been before time sad in his presence. Wherefore the king said unto me, why is thy countenance sad, seeing thou art not sick? This is nothing else but sorrow of heart. Then was I very so afraid. And I said unto the king, let the king live forever. Why should not my countenance be sad when the city, the place of my father's sepulchres, graves, lie waste, and the gates thereof are consumed with fire? Then the king said unto me, for what doest thou make request? So I prayed to the God of heaven. I prayed to the Lord of hosts, right? And I said unto the king, if it please the king, and if thy servants have found favor in thy sight, that thou wouldst send me unto Judah, unto the city of my father's sepulchre, graves, that I may build it. And the king said unto me, the queen sitting up by him, for how long shall thy journey be? And when wilt thou return? So it pleased the king to send me, and he set me in and he set him a time. So let's look at it. He prayed in verse 11 to the Lord of hosts that he caused his king to give him favoritism. So then the king gave him favoritism. So who changed the king's mind? Is Yahweh or is the Lord of hosts? Who over Israel? Okay. 7. Moreover, I said unto the king, if it please the king, let letters be given me to the governors beyond the rivers, that they may convey me over till I come into Judah. And a letter, and a letter unto Asaph, keeper of the king's forest, that he may give me timber to make beams for the gates of the palace, which appertain to the house, and for the walls of the city, and for the house that I shall enter into. And the king granted me according to the king, I say according to the good hand of my God. Okay? My God, El, strong one, upon me. Then I came to the governors beyond the river and gave them the king's letter. Now the king had sent captains of the army and horsemen with me. So we see right here how that all worked out. Yeah, so I mean, rightly dividing it. So like I said before, I was going to cross-reference that with Daniel. Okay, so here we go. So Daniel, we see who Nehemiah praying to. Now let's see what happened with Daniel. They in the same predicament. Matter of fact, they in captivity in Babylon, both of them. They in captivity under Chaldeans. So I'm in chapter 9, right? So this is where the drama coming in with Israel today. These Edomites have tricked us off, and then we don't understand who our Redeemer is and the person that's willing their hand for us. Right? Says chapter 9. In the first year of Darius, son of Ahaz, seed of the Medes and Persians, which was king over the realm of the Chaldeans. In the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by books the number of years wherewith the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah the prophet. See that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolation of Jerusalem. So let's read that again. Daniel 9, verse 2. In the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by books the number of years wherewith the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah. The same being came to Jeremiah and told him about the 70 years. Not Yahweh, right? Said that it would accomplish 70 years in the desolation of Jerusalem, right? So now look what Daniel do. And I set my face unto the Lord God, not Yahweh, to the Lord God, to seek by prayer and supplication, fasting, sackcloth, and ashes. Same thing Nehemiah did, right? And I prayed unto the Lord, my God, and made my confessions and said, O Lord, the great and dreadful, same thing Nehemiah said, the great and dreadful God, keeping covenant. See that? Keeping covenant. It's an angel over the covenant. Keeping covenant and mercy to them that love him and to them that keep his commandments. We have sinned, he overseen, and have committed iniquity, and have done wickedly, and have rebelled, even by departing from thy precepts and from thy judgment. Neither have we hearkened unto, see that? Hearkened. That means his words. Yahweh just told Moses, it's an angel over you. Hearken to his words. So he says, neither have we hearkened unto thy servants, the prophets, which spake in thy name, to our kings, our princes, our fathers, and to all the people of the land. O Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us a confusion of face, as it is this day. To the men of Judah, to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, unto all Israel that are near and that are far off, through all the countries whither thou hast driven them, because of thy trespass, that we have trespassed against thee, sinned against thee. O Lord, to you, to us belong confusion of face, to our kings and to our princes and to our fathers, because we have sinned against thee. He over the sin. To the Lord our God belongeth mercy and forgiveness, though we have rebelled against him. Neither have rebelled, Most High put him over us. and we done rebelled against him, right? So it says, yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing that I may not obey thy voice. Therefore, the curse is poured out upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of God, because we have sinned against him. And he have confirmed his words, which he spake against us and against our judges that judge us by bringing us a great evil. For under the whole heavens have not been done as has been done under Jerusalem. So let's go right to the meat of this situation. We're going to the curses. Deuteronomy 28. All right. For Most High just commanded Moses on Mount Sinai, his angels over you. He's going to lead you to the land of Canaan. He over the covenant and obey him. You know, I'm going back. He went back to heaven. He went back to his abode, but he left his angel here. That's over Israel. A strong one, terrible one, with a sword. So we in Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy 28, right? So we're gonna read the whole thing because this is what this is what a lot of people woke up at, found out they're Israelites. Chapter 28. It shall come to pass if thou shalt, look at this. It shall come to pass if thou shalt diligently, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God. See that? Exodus 23, verse 20. Obey his voice. It says, unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth, and all these blessings shall come upon thee and overtake thee, and if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. See that? Blessed shall thou be in the city, blessed shall thou be in the field, blessed shall be the voice of the fruit of thy body, the fruit of thy ground, the fruit of the cattle, the increase of thy king, the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. Blessed shall thou be when thou comest in. Blessed shall thou be when thou goest out. The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. Thou shalt come out against thee one way, flee before thee 7 ways. They're going to flee 7 ways because 6 more angels with him. 7 angels he created in the beginning. Genesis 1:26. Let us make man in our image. Verse 9. The Lord shall establish thee a holy people unto himself, as he hath sworn unto thee. If thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God and walk in his ways, and all the people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Lord, right? Most High told us that his name, the angel got his name in him. JC came proclaiming the same thing. So, and they shall be afraid of thee, and the Lord shall make thee plenteous in goods, in fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy ground, in the land which the Lord swore unto thy fathers to give thee. The Lord shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heavens, to give the rain unto thy land in the season, and to bless all the works of thine hand. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. And the Lord shall make thee the head, not the tail, and thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt be not be beneath. If thou will hearken, look at this, if that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day to observe and to do them. And thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day, right? To the right hand, to the left, to go after other gods, other angels. There's other angels here, fallen angels, to other gods, to observe them, right? Here we go, 15. It's the consequences of disobedience. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Saying Yahweh. See that? Saying Yahweh. Then he says, cursed shall thou be. He doing it. Cursed shall thou be in the city. Cursed shall thou be in the field. Cursed shall thou be, thy basket be in thy store. Cursed shall thou be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy king and thy flocks and thy sheep. We ain't got now sheep today. When we need sheep, sacrifice to make the temple go. This is how he hid himself from us right here. He got rid of the sheep, right? Cursed shall thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shall thou be when thou goest out. The Lord shall extend, look at this. The Lord shall send upon thee curses, vexations, rebuke, in all that thou seest, settest thy hand unto for to do, until thou be destroyed, until thou perish quickly because of the wickedness of thy doings, right? Sin, whereby thou hast forsaken me. The Lord shall make thee pestilence cleave unto thee, and say, until he have consumed thee from off the land, whether thou goest to possess it. And the Lord shall smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with inflammation, and with extreme burning, and with sword, and with blasting. It says, and with mildew, and thou shalt pursue thee until he perish. So, like it says, with the sword, right? Who got a sword? Yahweh got a sword? Or do Michael L got a sword? Right? So anyway, he says, 21, the Lord shall make thee pestilence cleave unto thee until ye have consumed thee from off the land, whether thou go up to possess it. What land? Well, we just read in Exodus 23 and 20, he sent an angel before them to lead them where? To the land of Canaan. Right? He's going to this angel lead them to the land of Canaan where does angel live at? Okay, let's go to Exodus chapter 3. We're going to make it plain. Okay. Exodus chapter 3, verse 1. This is Moses. Now Moses, he ain't in heaven. When Moses was kicked out of Egypt by the Pharaoh and the Egyptians, he ain't go to heaven. Let's look where he went. For chapter 3. Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert, and he came to the mountain of God, even the Horeb. So who is this God? 2, the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame over fire out of the midst of the bush, all right? And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. It's an angel on this mountain. It's his mountain. That's why the Canaanites, before they got there, was going up in the high places on these mountains. It's fallen angels up there, worshiping them. That's how we ended up over here. We ended up doing what the Canaanites was doing. Up there up in these mountains, trying to sacrifice to other deities and not to him. So this is where he at. Now let's get a precept from that Isaiah, right quick. Isaiah gonna make it plain. Isaiah says, chapter 8, and kids too. You want to know where the fruit of your body, where you getting that from? He says, chapter 8, verse 18. Isaiah says, behold, I and the children whom the Lord have given me are for signs and wonders in Israel from the Lord of hosts. Where he dwell at? Which dwelleth in Mount Zion. So this ain't Yahweh. Yahweh don't dwell on Mount Zion. You got a whole expanse in the heavens of heaven where he dwell at. This is an angel right here. He dwell in Mount Zion. So what happened? Moses told him, go to Egypt and shut Egypt down and bring them back to the land, your land, where you at. That I gave you in Genesis chapter 10 when he divided up the land during the time of Peleg. So he went and got them, brought them to his land. He inherited Israel. Yahweh can't nobody give Yahweh nothing. The God over Israel inherited Israel. So he went, got them with the 10 plagues, brought them back to his land. And so now he's telling them right here in Deuteronomy. Let me get it. He's telling them in Deuteronomy, right here. Let's get it. Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 28. Back to where I just left from. Says, 21. The Lord shall make thee pestilence cleave unto thee until he have consumed thee from off the land where thou goest to possess, off his land. He ran him out of his land. He went and got him from Egypt with the 10 plagues, brought him back to his land and brought them to his mountain. That's what we was at in Exodus 23 and 20. He brought him to his mountain. Yahweh came down on the mountain. Then he told him, "This angel's over you. You're going to listen to him. My name is in him." So let's look at it real time, right? Like I said, you do with it what you want to do with it. But here you go, right here. Two precepts. 32, Deuteronomy 32. Like I say, I can't speak Yiddish or Hebrew. Okay, so here we go. So I'm in 32, starting at verse 34. We're gonna see who this is, right? It says, I'm in Deuteronomy 32. Verse 32 is where I'm starting at. For their vine is of the vine of Sodom, talking about the Israelites, and of the fields of Gomorrah. Their grapes are grapes of gall. Their clusters are bitter. Their wine is the poison of dragons and the cruel venom of alps. Is not this laid up in store with me? This the so-called God over Israel. Say, is not this laid up in store with me and sealed up among my treasures? See, you assume these Yahweh treasures, right? 35. To me belongeth vengeance. He overseen and recompense. Their foot shall slide in due time, for the day of their calamity is at hand. The things that shall come upon them make haste. For the Lord shall judge the person that's overseeing, the one doing the judging. The Lord shall judge his people and recompense himself for his servants. And when he seeth their power is gone, and there is none shut up or left, and he shall say, where are the gods, these fallen angels, that you've been dealing with in these high places? Their rock in whom they trusted, which did eat the fat of their sacrifices. They sacrificed it to them. And drink the wine of their drink offerings. Let them rise up and help. Let them help you and be your protection. So now here we go. You can fumble with it or what you want to do with it. See now, even I am he. There is no God, El, with me. I kill, I make alive, I wound, I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hands. He the deliverer, the redeemer. For I lift up my hands to heaven and say, I live forever. Why he lifting his hands up to heaven? That's where Yahweh is. He got a counselor. He got to deal with it, right? See that? So he says, I lift up my hands unto heaven and I say, I live forever. And I, with my glistening sword, it ain't Yahweh. See that? And my hand take hold of judgment. It's the angel, Michael, with the sword. I will render vengeance to my enemies, and I will reward them that hate me. And I will make mine arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh, and that with the blood of the slain and the captives, from the beginning of revenge upon the enemy. Rejoice, O ye nations, with his people, and he will avenge the blood of his servants, and will render vengeance to his adversaries, and will be merciful unto his slain. See that? Be merciful unto his land, right? And to his people. You can fumble with it if you want. So anyway, here goes another precept. I'm in Daniel, chapter 12. So like I said, I can't do this if it ain't there, if it ain't in the scriptures. I can't do it. So chapter 12 says, verse 1, and at that time, Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, which shall never be since there is a nation, even at the same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered. Everyone that shall be found written in the book. Ain't no New Testament. When Daniel wrote this, wasn't no New Testament. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall await, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words, seal the book. See that? Notice he's sealing the book. Ain't no New Testament in it. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words, seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. Then I, Daniel, looked. See that? This is what you got to do. You got to look with Daniel. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood the other two, one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the wood or waters of the river, how long shall it be, shall be the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen, this Michael, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand under heaven. Who he holding his hands up to? Yeah. It ain't Johnny Carson. So he says, and then I held up, then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood the other two, one on this side of the bank of the river, the other on that side of the bank of the river. And the one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, how long shall the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand under heaven, and swore by him that liveth forever. That's Yahweh, the Most High. The Hebrews and Gentiles and everybody else fumbling with. Okay, so it says, and I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand under heaven, and swore by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time and a half time, and when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be accomplished. And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? Okay, see that? Is that something?
Yes.
What's up, brother? Shalom. Been a minute. Okay, yeah. So, like I said before, you know, it's high time, man. It's getting broken down. You know, so that's where we at. This should be let you know we at the end. It's hammer time. Like I said, Second Ezra prophesied that he had two little wings reserved for the end. We looking at them, China and Russia. We said he's going to return us back from the place which we was kept taken captive. They going back now by the droves. They going back to the West Coast. We waking up all over the place. Isaiah 44, 1-5. We're in the midst of this. We're fumbling with it. JC the hook. You gotta, sit down, get you a cup of coffee, whatever. You gotta make your mind up. You're gonna throw JC away, or you're gonna be forever falling backwards in the dark. In order to move forward, you gotta throw JC away. That's where we at. Okay. Oh, you're right. That's on point. That's on point. Yeah. Okay. So with that being said, anybody got any comments before we close out? So it says the Most High say follow the old paths. So we saw what you're right, bro. Put him in the garbage. So we saw what our forefathers did. They followed the old paths. They went backwards. He ain't doing no new thing. He said follow the old paths. Days old. So we got to go back to the days old. And we saw what Daniel did. Daniel prayed to our Redeemer. Because they denigrated and pierced, downplayed him. And Nehemiah did the same thing. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. When they was in the fiery furnace, Yahweh ain't show up in the furnace. The Lord of hosts showed up in the furnace. And when Amalek stole Sarah from Abraham, well, Yahweh didn't show up. The Bible says the angel of the Lord with the sword drawn in his hand came to Amalek, put the sword on his throat, told him, take her back. And Amalek, he couldn't wait till the morning to get her back. That wasn't Yahweh. Got to get it right. When you want to be delivered, you got to call the deliverer, like our forefathers did. They understood that. Okay. Anybody else got anything before we go? Okay. So with that being said, let me do this right here, and we're gonna get up out of here. Yeah, for anybody that want to know, we on
Say, why interpreters want this in?
We on Clubhouse on Wednesday nights with this for like a open discussion Q&A for OT only non-Messianics, and we on Friday nights for OT only. So we want to get into those discussions, and if you want to be able to come up on the on our Prophets of Awakening on YouTube channel, just have to give us the information so we can send you the link. Okay, so let me get this right quick.
Instant translator device.
Okay. So with that being said, I want to say shalom, everybody else. Glad to have another Sabbath with y'all. So we're gonna be back here at 6 o'clock for our evening Sabbath class to close out the Shabbat. So with that being said, I want to say shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom.